This was my art before my 6-month journey. Here's an example of after. This is real and no exaggeration. I got here by following a daily routine that I learned from a mentor, and no matter what happened, this daily routine could not be broken or skipped. I will not sugarcoat this or pretend that this was not a painful and bitter process at times, but I'm here to share my experience and to show you that fast results are more than possible and how you can achieve them for yourself. So let's start from the very beginning. I remember being about 12 or 13 when I was drawing L from Death Note to impress some girl at school, as you do. Anyway, halfway through that drawing, I stopped and really asked myself if art is something I would fully want to dedicate my entire life to. I was a pretty weird kid, but sitting down and drawing so intensely at this Dorito Chin anime fan art copy, I really felt something greater than myself at that moment. So from then on, I started drawing, studying, copying, painting, inking, all of it. Fast forward 10 whole years, and I finally stopped to take a look at all the work I've made. And I realized that I spent all that time essentially doing absolutely nothing. Despite drawing so many faces, I did not know how to draw a face. Despite drawing so many environments, I knew nothing of perspective. And don't even get me started on painting. I was truly, entirely, and utterly at square one, which is where we begin our journey today. I want to stress that my 10-year drawing rush played absolutely zero part in my 6-month accomplishment. As proof of this, here are 4 drawings that took me 2 hours each at the age of 24. Yikes, right? I'm here with you now today to share with you every single part of my journey, provide tips, insights, and motivations to help you get through this and to this level and beyond. So let's go back and look at some of my first sketches before I started working on anything. Posers were stiffer than a boner during a class presentation, and I had no structure or base knowledge of anatomy or proportion. I faced so many challenges at this time. I felt foolish for being my age and this behind at art. I felt embarrassed for dedicating so much of my life to art and having absolutely nothing to show for it. And I felt like time was running out if I ever wanted to feel what that kid felt drawing L so many years ago. But by far the hardest thing for me was to let all of these feelings go, in order to make room for a more constructive mindset that eventually paved the way for success and incredible artistic strides. If I wanted to draw good, I had to adopt patience and accept all of my mistakes, which leads me into my favorite mantra that I would say to myself every single day, hundreds of times. 1 step back, 2 steps forwards. It is around this time when I made the decision to get serious and find professional help in my art journey. So I found 2 prominent workshops and started there. My first workshop was with Will Weston. He is a godly teacher, and his anatomy and shorthand techniques is what really drew me towards his class. There was only one issue. He had only one class available that year, and it was in Copenhagen, Denmark. By this time, I had already made 0 excuses and figured out a way how to get me all the way there from America in order to learn from an American artist. Long story short, the biggest takeaway I got from that class then was the confidence of knowing that if I could be present there at that moment for that very class, in a different country traveling solo for the very first time, I could definitely figure out how to draw. My next workshop that I attended was the one that gave me the 6-month outline to follow, and ended up being the most game and life-changing thing, which I will share with you now. And that was with another artist named Rembert Montauld. I remember being very gravitated to a Proco video that I watched back in the day where Rembert mentioned renting a tiny place and doing nothing but drawing for 6 months, and then he came out drawing the way he does now. The workshop itself was just absolutely incredible. Being there and watching a pro artist draw characters from imagination and ref in real time was something I had never experienced prior to this year of workshops. I was so fired up and ready to learn that it was unreal. Though during this 8-week course, I remember being at the very bottom of the class, and so stuck on actually improving and getting better. Even when I applied the tips and tricks, I never improved. I always felt like in order to really get good, I would have to dig deep and fix my foundation, and not just try to put frosting on a poopy butt cheek cake. It was then where he went into great detail of the importance of gesture drawing, and more importantly, just what he was doing in that small apartment for 6 months. He shared with the class the following. Every single day for 6 months straight, I would draw 1-minute gestures for 60 minutes no matter what. And on the really bad and hard days when I didn't even want to look at a single piece of paper, I would say to myself, 1 step back, 2 steps forwards. That hit me like a dad after some beers and made me take action to the most important thing, structured practice. Right after that class ended, I opened up a blank canvas on Photoshop and titled it 601 for 60 gestures day 1. And then I sat down for an hour to draw them. I remember feeling so much tension just evaporating. I was purely in the moment and truly not caring about the vomit I was throwing down. It didn't matter to me in the slightest how bad these gestures were, because I knew that I didn't have to care about that until month 6 of doing this daily, which by then in my mind, this wouldn't be a problem, because I wouldn't be having these problems. And I was right. Rembert mentioned that he wouldn't do this and only this every single day, but compound it with anatomy studies and painting studies. For me, it took so much constraint not to put the cart before the horse and do all of these gestures plus anatomy studies plus painting studies plus everything I could possibly fit within a 12-hour window. So instead, I focused on the most important thing, which is consistency. A little goes a long way. A tiny trickle of water can erode the hardest mountains and all that. So I focused solely on maintaining that hourly practice and nothing else for 3 days. Then 1 week, then 2, then 1 month. And I noticed that, like with working out or running, I started to get less and less fatigue after every single session. As I felt I could take on more, I did. Eventually, my day went as follows. Wake up, coffee, 61-minute gesture drawings, coffee break, 1 hour anatomy studies, and each week would be different. Like I would hit arms one whole week, and then legs or feet, core, back, face, fingers, etc. Then a lunch break. Then I would put a minimum of 3 to as many hours as possible on a personal painting. Then I would repeat it. This psychotic cycle eventually led me to landing my first full-time concept art job. And if you think that affected things, it absolutely did not. Every day, no matter what, I would do this on top of my job until it made it to 6 months. My whole thing was that no matter what would happen, at the bare minimum, I would get those 60 gestures in every single day. So life does what it does best when you make for great change, and it tries everything to stop you. I ended up getting COVID twice, laid off, my computer blew up, and I had to exist and overcome, in an abundance-centered way, a world of personal and mental health issues. But I never stopped getting my bare minimum done, which was 61-minute gestures. I want to stress over the masochistic nature of this sort of thing. Yes, it is, and it does get brutal. Though for me, something about inhuman feats and insane progression, especially artistically, is just so attractive. My intention for this video is to highlight my success, but also to highlight the part of it that I don't see covered that much. This is a very hard thing to do, and to do daily with zero excuses. As such, it is easy to fall into old ways of thinking, and specifically destructive ways of thinking. Thoughts like, I suck, I can't do this, I am getting worse and worse each day. The moment you let these thoughts occupy your mind, the harder it is going to be to remain positively consistent. And as such, your results will never come. You will only be left with those destructive thoughts. Which is why that mantra Rembert shared was the key to all of this. 1 step back, 2 steps forwards. When I was so frustrated on day 74, I replaced my destructive ways of thinking with that one sentence. When I was running out of money and getting rejected at every studio I applied to, I was only thinking with that one sentence. Anyway, my last tip is, do not do this in a vacuum. If you can, group up with other people who are seeking the same improvements as you are. They will keep you motivated and accountable. For me, I was unable to find friends that wanted to pursue this with me, but I did have a Discord with some old art friends that tolerated me spamming pages and pages of studies every day in their Discord. Posting every gesture page somewhere where another human would have eyes on it was all it took to have the fire to do better the next day. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much. Here are some key takeaways. Progress over perfection. It is more important to keep drawing and making mistakes rather than trying to make one bad drawing good. Having a growth mindset is the key to keep you open to learning, improving, and evolving. Always keep it simple in the beginning. Set small achievable goals, then work up to larger ones. Here's a collection of some before and after work on various stages along the journey. When I reached the final day of month 6, I remember looking back and just being in utter shock at how far I've really come. It was unreal to me comparing the difference between the first day and that last day. I still do gestures daily, by the way, though not for an hour. I bounce between 5-minute poses and try to keep the session short, as it's only meant for warming up now. I've grown tremendously as an artist because of this, and as a person. This gave me the confidence to share this video with you today, and to approach whatever happens with the knowledge that if this is possible, like dude, what else is, you know? That being said, my journey is still just beginning, and there is so much in art that I want to get better at and strive daily to improve. And as long as that spirit never dies, neither will you. If you're feeling the hype to start your day one, then I fully implore you to take this journey, as you will see so much improvement in much more than your art. Lastly, I want to say that I'm going to be putting every single gesture sheet, study, and little sketch I did that I did save up on my Patreon. So if you're interested in checking all of those out, the link will be in the description. And I want to say thank you so much for watching and making it all the way through this video. Your support means the absolute world to me, and every like and subscribe is greatly appreciated. If you're thinking about undergoing the 6-month challenge, please comment below on your progress. I am so interested to hear about it. Oh, and really quick, I forgot to mention, but I want to provide you with some sources that made gesture drawing daily a lot easier for me. By far, my favorite website for gesture drawing is Quick Poses. The link for it will be in the description, and what I love about it is you can set the time, whether you want to draw like clothed models, unclothed models, male, female, all that stuff. But the coolest thing is if you make a free account and sign in, it keeps track of your progress, how much you draw every day, how many poses, and the best part is you unlock little achievements. So it's straight up like a video game. Like if you draw for like 100 hours, you get this own certificate with your name on it. And each certificate looks so different from the last one. I don't want to spoil what the different tiers look like because that's such like an adrenaline rush when you reach that final hour and you unlock the new design. It's so sick. But I highly recommend checking out Quick Poses. That made this a lot easier to build a habit to do consistently and daily. I want to end this with just one more thing, and that is to always prioritize your physical and mental health. That is always number one. Anyway, you are a badass and keep going. And that's about it. Later.